Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Hands on Tech Live. I am Jeremy Morgan. I didn't do a stream last week, so I'm doing a stream this week. Basically, I had another webinar type thing that I had to do. But today we're going to work on our Utilities app in Blazor once again, and I will shift right over to this momentarily. There we go. All right. Hello, Surly Dev. And as I can see in the Twitch chat, Surly Dev said your stickers arrived on that Saturday. You are welcome. We do have stickers somewhere around here for people who are watching. Give you some stickers. Some good stuff. So today we are working on this METAR reader again. Now, what I did is built a set of unit tests, kind of put it into a class library. I think we should try to put this class library into our actual application, which should be, yeah, it's still in here. Okay. For a minute there, I wasn't sure if I built this class library separately or not. However, we do have the What's My IP app. So for those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, I will show you what the What's My IP app is. And I'm actually changing the name of this in the repository. Oh, and we've got some build errors. Let's see what our build error is. We've got a whole pile of them. So let's see if this thing runs. But this started out as an application to find out what your IP address is, where you're located. We use a database for that. We look up, it's an IP to town name database from GeoIP. It says Hillsboro, Oregon, which is fairly close to me. Then we decided to do a weather app where we take these METAR strings and turn them into readable weather information. And METAR strings are strings that are given out to pilots from towered airports every 55 minutes, and pilots read these and decipher them and decide whether they want to fly or not, whether they want to land there. Things like that. So good conditions that they need to watch out for. We've got it pretty well nailed down. It's not perfect by any means, but we did get this into a class library. We got some unit tests. It's kind of neat. So I think I'm just going to try to put this into our Blazor app, and then maybe we'll jump in and throw a few more unit tests at it just for fun. So as unit tests, pretty simple. Good morning, Boris. Thank you for joining the stream. So some of our tests are pretty simple. Like we test to see if it's being stored. We tested our airport code, tested the date and time. Just basically testing to make sure that when we switch fields that it still shows up, that we're still able to identify that field. And we could definitely do some more testing in this area, I think. But I would like to kind of plug it into the application and see how it works. Good morning, Lauren. So we have a What's My IP. This is our Blazor application. Then we have METAR Reader, which is a class library. And then we have METAR Reader Test, which is our set of unit tests. So we've built a lot of stuff here for a very silly application, but it's been a pretty fun process, right? It's been cool. I really enjoy the feedback from folks who are coming on the chat and saying, hey, try this, try this. Been pretty cool. So we're going to add a reference here. I'm going to add a project reference and add METAR Reader to our project. Now, once we build all this stuff, let's do a quick rebuild. This should get rid of a lot of those errors, and it did not. So let's figure out why we're getting these errors. Duplicate. A lot of these are duplicate attributes. The name assert does not exist. That is not a, that's not a valid error, I don't think. We'll see. Let's just try building this really quick. We'll try to build these all one by one, see how they do. It looks like this one is taking a little while. Let's try a rebuild. Ah, rebuild succeeded. We'll do another rebuild here. Test succeeded. This is probably where the problems are. I'll say, so we've got a whole bunch of stuff in here that it does not like. So let's jump to the first one here. It really doesn't like my call out here. So I may need to restore some of these. Let's go and check our packages. I actually haven't seen these types of errors for a long time, so not really sure. We could do some of these updates here. See if that helps. But we'll figure out why we're getting these. Here's all of our updates. I accept. I'm not sure what that coverlet is, so I'm not going to update it yet. And we're still getting some of these errors, and then they kind of go away. Very interesting. Let's try something else here. Oops. I forgot to silence my phone. Let's see if I can be a little less explicit with this. And it doesn't really look like it can. So with this one, I may need to add a reference to the unit tests also. Do a rebuild. That did not work, so we will remove that. Project reference, we actually do not need to link that test. I just thought maybe that would point me in the right direction. Oh, it's World Pasta Day, in case anybody was wondering. Let's go to Edge and let's look up one of those, one of these errors and just see if it's something that's somewhat common. There we go. Typer name doesn't exist. Let's see if it's something common. Pop open the first couple of ones here. This is Visual Studio 2015, probably not going to help. '19, I had to charge. Target Framework. Target Framework should be fine, but I'll check it. Most of these are pretty old. Maybe that's No, I'm using... Let's try doing a different call here. That also does not work. What's interesting is this is coming up in the build for the Blazor application. If you look at all these project What's My IP is where we're having the issues. So I'm going to clean this and then rebuild it. Good evening, Benjamin. Thank you for joining. I'm kind of stuck in the mud right now with some of these. Let's see, METAR reader assembly info. Oh, I see. The projects are both in here, and that's why they're duplicated. Exclude this from project. Exclude this from project. I'm not sure how those got mixed up like that. But that did work. So the two projects, I set those to ignore because the two projects are within this What's My IP. And that's probably a mistake in the way that I created them, I would think. I just kind of went in and added them. And let's look and see what the solution looks like in the in File Explorer and see how I messed that up. If I remember, there it is, open folder and File Explorer. So under What's My IP, I have METAR reader and test within the project because the What's My IP is its... Yeah, so I created this wrong, basically. Long story short, I should have created metarreader.app or what'smyip.app and had that as a subfolder and then had these as subfolders below it. Now it's all mixed up, but that's fine because we just ignored those two pieces and we should be fine. I'll reorganize it at some point and make it correct. So let's go to our pages. In our weather page here, this is where we're using all of the old METAR reader stuff. So this stuff is all going to get commented out of our Razor. Because I think all of this should be in that class library now. Now we don't want to delete it just yet, but we're just going to see if we can start using the class library instead of all of this code. And I think I'm going to have to comment these out one by one, looks like. Because I have comments within comments. I believe it's Control KC to comment out all of this stuff. There we go. Now we've got a whole bunch of commented code. Now decode METAR doesn't work. WX result doesn't work. Because all of these were a part of our METAR CS. Now we're going to include our class library. So using METAR Reader. Come back here. Okay, it looks like this METAR CS, I kind of figured this would have to be excluded from the project. This is just the METAR object. So this is what we're parsing the string, and then we put it into this METAR object, pass it back, and then read it with Razor. We don't really need this anymore, so we're just going to do the exact same thing. We're going to comment it out before we just go wild and delete it. We'll just comment the entire class out. All right, now this class doesn't exist as far as Visual Studio is concerned. Hello, Peyton. Really loved getting all this behind the scenes work. Awesome. Thank you for joining and watching. This has been a lot of fun. This project's been a little bit of a pain in some ways, but it's been a lot of fun. It's fun pain. So WX result. This WX result comes from way down here, if I remember right. Yes. So WX result is separate from the METAR reader. So this is something that we still need. We're still getting some non-nullable stuff barking at us. And then we have decode METAR, which that is going to have to come from our class library now. Our METAR parser. So we're going to create a new METAR parser and parse it. METAR parser, test parser, okay. I guess we're already creating a METAR parser. So, oh, that's in our, yeah, we're creating a METAR parser in our unit test. Now we need to do it in our Razor app. This and then say test parser decode METAR. And everything else should work fairly good. Let's check for errors. Build it and find our errors. Nothing so far, but I don't think this is ready to work yet. Let's try it. There we go. I was gonna say, I know I'm doing something. Get wind direction. This, I believe, is a part of the test parser. Oh, which we create here. So we're gonna have to include that if this isn't null. Let's see, get wind direction. And get wind direction may not be a part of that class library. That might be something that I forgot to include. Let's check and see. We've got METAR parser, decode METAR, get report type, store altimeter, get wind direction, right there, get wind direction, but it's a private. So we're going to say public. Now, why I'm calling that from here, I don't actually remember, but we will probably get to that. Let's see if it builds now. One thing I'm anticipating is that I have to do some different things with Razor and that METAR object. So the METAR object now lives in that parser. So we're going to have to get it back out of there and plug it into our Razor component. but I'm basically just starting this up to see where it fails, where we're at, things like that. It's going pretty slow today. Oh, and we're actually having a little problem with a different part of the application now. 503 unavailable. That is from apipify.org, which is where we're getting our IP address from. So because this is Razor, we can't just get the IP address, the client IP address off the server. The client IP address has to come from this ipify.org, which appears to be up. So let's figure out why that isn't working. That one we start out and we'll go past all of this Razor stuff. Cloud cover, we create that. We get METAR data for this airport. Then we say private sync. This is where we get the METAR from. So I'm guessing I commented something out that I shouldn't have. Store cloud report should be fine. Store altimeter, get wind directions. All of these are So now I'm going to find where I'm going to IPFI. And that's going to be in a different component. So in index.razor is where we go to IPFI. There it is. So here we get the IP address. We run it through a database. And this is where our issue is. So let's set a breakpoint and step through it. Perfect. Okay, await get my IP. And get my city. We can see here that we are getting an IP address. So maybe we just continue through. And that appears to be just kind of a fluke error, it looks like. I don't know. I'm not sure why that happened. This is the one we really care about. This one will probably fail, but this is now going to use the class library instead of the Razor code that we put in earlier. So we've basically extracted out all of the, we built this huge long thing of Razor code to where this Razor component ended up being gigantic. And so we, at least in my opinion, it was pretty gigantic. And then we took that, put it into a class library, attached some unit tests to that class library, cleaned a bunch of stuff up. And now I'm going to try to put that class library into my Blazor app, and I can see I'm having problems reconnecting to the server. Something has gone wrong. So let's just stop and start all over again and see if we can catch it again. And just a reminder, today we're streaming on Twitch, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, bunch of places. However, make sure and follow us on Twitch. Twitch is where we're always going to be streaming to. We're going to stream some pretty exclusive stuff to Twitch at a certain point. So Twitch is the place where you want to follow us and watch our streams. It is also where the cool kids hang out. All right, so we have our METAR app here, but As we can see, we don't have any data populated into it. And that was what I expected because, like I said, we're passing around this METAR object. We basically created an object with all of these different fields in it, and now we're passing it back, so I have to refactor things so that we can figure out how to get that back into our application. Now I'm using METAR Reader here, and I'm doing this stuff, but our METAR is going to be what we have to change. So what we could do is down here we're doing a test parser. We could say our METAR after this. Oops, that was not what I wanted to do. And that's fine. Go back up here. We can assign our METAR to the our METAR object that's in our test parser, which we probably shouldn't call it test parser. Possible null, that's fine. Now let's try it again. And I still don't see any wind speed and direction. So our wind speed and direction is an issue here. Let's step through that and figure out why that's not happening. So do this again. I'm going to say METAR text. We get our METAR text, that's KMDW. Then we create our new METAR parser. That seems to work great. Then we'll go here to decode METAR. There's our METAR text. And now let's see what our object looks like. Our object does have day of month. Doesn't have any gusts, which is fine. You don't always have gusts in METARs, but then we have our METAR. It's cool. And then, yeah, it looks like get wind direction is where we have an issue. So let's step into that. Exception thrown. Our METAR was null, which that should not be the case, because if I look up here, our METAR is definitely not null. So yeah, that's a little confusing, right? So our METAR if it's not null, we'll call that thing. And we'll just do a quick compiler check to see if it's null. There's no else for this one yet. So let's rebuild everything. We'll clean and rebuild. Make sure we're dealing with good fresh code. And we'll figure out why it's doing this. Build solution. What's my IP? And our METAR is still null as we go through here. So one thing I think I should probably do is create it when we actually initialize the app, we'll create that object. So instead of, where is it, down here? we will go up here and do this. Oops. And we're going to say public METAR parser our parser new, yeah, public METAR our parser equals new METAR parser. And that'll make it a global object. So wipe this out of here. And then instead of test parser, which is what we used in our test, we're going to rename it to our parser. Go down here and say our parser decode METAR. And then our METAR is created right here. Hello, Ryan. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining the stream. Today we're just making this thing kick back errors. Wind speed direction is still null. There may not be any wind, so it could be, well, even if there's no wind, it should be 0 kb. But let's change this a little bit. We'll change the airport and see if it's still doing the same thing. And it is. So we say object not reference to an object. So when we get METAR, for some reason our METAR, when we hit this, it's still thinking our METAR is null. So let's do another clean solution. Let's do a rebuild solution. And let's push play again. Go back over here. Okay. Let's start stepping through it. Our METAR, and it does show here that we have an our METAR. Do we have a direction speed? No, we don't have a direction speed being passed into this in the first place. So it's not the our METAR that's null, it's the direction speed. So what I'm thinking, our METAR wind speed direction. I'm thinking we should start back here. Okay, now our METAR is not null. However, doesn't really have much in it. Doesn't have wind speed and direction in it. So get wind direction isn't going to work. So for some reason, decode METAR is not populating that field like I would like it to. In fact, if we step into here, let's see what our METAR looks like. Yeah, decode METAR is not decoding things the way I would like it to. So when it says get it wind speed and direction, well, there is no wind speed and direction. We need to go back even farther, step into the decode METAR method. That's where our problem is. So this should post right there. Let's jump into there. Yes. This one creates a new METAR within, so it creates a new METAR object within the METAR parser. Remarks present, false so far. METAR text, splits up the text, gets a count of 18. And then we're doing a get report type with string here. This is the 0 position here. So if 0 remarks, now we see that we have a report type of airport ID, so it should store the airport code. We've stored the airport code. And we go to the next one. This report type is date time. So we do a bunch of date time stuff. Perfect. And we just step through. This is one of the most boring parts of software development probably ever, but now we're doing a report type of wind. What did we end up getting for wind? Store wind. So now let's go over here to our autos and let's see what our METAR looks like. We have no direction still. So store wind isn't working. Store wind, METAR data 2. It's not working because we stepped forward to the break and something with store wind did not work. So let's go down to store wind. Wind data. Let's start this over again. So here we're going to step into it. So we'll just go continue. Wind data that comes in is 13007 KT. So that is 7 knots at 130 degrees. That is correct. We need to find out why. Okay, it does not contain G, so there's no gusts. But we need to find out why it's not storing this. If it contains KT, it does. If it's 0, then there's no wind. Otherwise, wind data, remove, length back 2, step forward. There's our wind speed and direction. So when we go to store wind, what does it say we have here? There's our wind speed and direction right there. So store wind should have, let's go in here to do our METAR again. No wind speed, but we have wind speed and direction. See if that changes at any point here. This is visibility. Visibility is 5 statute miles. Yes, we still don't have wind speed. I think that gets split up after the fact. Let's find out. Now we're doing a store altimeter. We should be pretty close to done here. Let's just hit continue. There we go. Get wind direction. Direction speed, again, is null. So we have no wind speed, no direction. Let's see, find all references. Our parser, decode, our parser, get wind direction. This is where we're putting our next breakpoint. Good times. Oh, that's right. We still have a breakpoint in store wind. There's our wind speed and direction. So let's continue. Now if we look here, our wind speed and direction is null once again. So what did I mess up? Could be public meter, our meter. Maybe it's somehow creating a new one. This thing is somehow getting nulled out. Let's just put a getter and a setter on this really quick here. And we'll say our meter equals new meter. So instead of declaring it there, let's declare it in our sort of constructor. Uninitialized async is sort of like a constructor. Now when I click here, exception thrown. Oh, I need to create that the very first thing. And I should start commenting this stuff here soon. Turn null. So, I mean, this stuff can all be nullable for a bit, right? Meter, our meter, get set. Go back into the razor. And here are some of our fields. Test, we'll close that, we'll close that. Just going to close out everything that we don't care about right now. So, close our meter. If we go here, should probably make all of these nullable because they're null to start before everything is populated. So when it goes here, it's like, So I'll just try by making airport code nullable. And start with that. Nope. Its RMetar itself is not set. Yep, it does not like that. So, I mean, maybe we do need to create it up here and then just figure out where it's getting nulled out. Trial and error. Right, that does not need to be nullable anymore because our metar is going to be a new metar. There we go. Now I just need to figure out where this is being nulled out, because I don't really know. And once again, our metar is still null. Let's do a clean solution and rebuild it. Getting really close to the top of the hour here where I have to go, but I would like to get this figured out before I do. So the pressure's on. Metar cloud cover get return null. Because we don't have an RMetar object yet. No, let's see. I kind of feel like this could be the order of things here. It's still not set. So I'll do clean and rebuild. And try it again. Object, set to Part 7 object. So let's continue, continue. And then we have a metar that's starting to be populated here, so that is a little bit questionable. Our metar cloud cover. So where, oh where is our metar being? Let's see, get metar data. Yeah, all of this get metar data has to be done. Yeah, string. Decode METAR actually does have to be run before. So I think it is order of operations that I'm mixing up here, but we'll find out in a second. Nope. Our METAR completely false and null the first time through. So something to think about. Why this isn't working. We can try this one again. The old method, getting set. Just to make sure that that is created and good before we start. Our METAR is null. Our METAR is null. So we can check for this also. Double check the here. Okay, cloud cover. Let's say if our METAR is not null, then we'll for each through it. Because it could be like a timing thing where it's just not populated yet, but it's looking for it. It'll be populated in a second. Let's see if this sends me to the next field that's similar to that. It's going to continue. We'll remove all these breakpoints. And now we're once again back to where we were before, where we're not getting direction and speed. It's only being called here. And I've got 4 minutes to fix the problem. Probably not going to happen today. However, it's fun to dream. So our METAR is not null at this point, right? But it doesn't really have anything to it. So we have our METAR text. We have our parser. Our parser has some data. Oh, this should be no, it doesn't. So I think this is another order of operations error on my part. Parser METAR. Because it's part of decart. Let's try this again. It shows here that our METAR is not null, but this, our METAR is. Our parser .armitar is fine. And it's before we assign this, so our parser.armitar when speed and direction. Aha. So it looks like I have some refactoring to do with this. There's a lot of things that I don't really like about how this is set up. Now it works. All the data is populated, but the fix was a little weird. So essentially I'm creating that METAR object, which this, you're just looking at the METAR object here on this screen. But I'm creating this new METAR object within the parser, and then we're taking it out of the parser and using it for Razor. I do think there's a cleaner, easier way to do this to avoid some of the issues that we just had. But what's cool here is that we have some weather, got an IP address, some weather. I think the next step will probably just to add the weather in automatically. And by the way, for all of you who are watching, I am looking for suggestions on some things that we can do with this, some things that we can add to this application. I've got it up on GitHub, and on GitHub, it's not updated yet, but I do have it on my GitHub, and I've kind of renamed it because it does more than just get an IP address. But I mean, we did successfully pull this thing into... Hello, Ahmed. Thank you for joining. This is replayed on Twitch and on YouTube if you want to catch the first part of it. But we do have some weather info here. Looks like our clouds thing isn't working because I do believe, yeah, we're overcast here. Does it show that in our, let's see, condition moderate mist, visibility square miles, 5 square miles. We don't have our day of the month or clouds being populated here. So let's find out why that is. And we'll put in a different airport just to see. Oh, thank you, Sully. Yeah, all of our stuff goes on Twitch all of the time, and that's where we prefer to. Oh, we've got some rain in PDX. What a surprise. But yeah, Twitch is where all the streams go all the time. I do this on Tuesdays, and David Neal does All Hands on Tech Live on Thursdays. He's building this really cool app right now, so I would suggest everybody tune in at the same time on Thursday to see his stuff. Follow us. So I'm going to find out why the clouds isn't populating before I drop off here. Say if cloud cover is null, and it's just possible that it is. Oops, I didn't really want to do that. We want to go here. Cloud cover is null. But let's strip this out of here and see if it comes up now. What's my IP? That's going a little slow. This one will continue. And it doesn't like it because that is null. So we will definitely address that further date. And I'm going to bring up something here really quick to throw into the chat. As soon as I can find, there it is. All right. So one last plug before I go. I just threw it into the chat. Pluralsight's doing this campaign called Cloud Happy. And so there's 5 cloud certifications, and you can take training for them for free from now to the end of the year. So if you want to set your sights on a particular cloud certification, I'll bring those up really quick here. Edge. This thing is so cool. I'm so stoked about the Cloud Happy thing. So here we go. Because it's a little bit better if I bring it up as a visual. You can sign up for free certification prep with Pluralsight or Cloud Guru. And here are the certifications that are available. We have AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, AZ900, Microsoft Azure Fundamentals, Google Cloud Digital Leader, HashiCorp Certified Terraform Associate, and Certified Kubernetes Administrator. So if any of those certifications look good to you, click on the link there in the chat and you can get free training. Like some of these 14 hours of courses, 18 hours of courses. It's pretty wild. Here's 19 hours, and this is all free certification prep so that you can get this certification for free. And it's called Cloud Happy, and I just posted that link in the URL. It's very cool. You can also check out our Discord. So I have the Discord link here. Yeah, there we go. I've got the Discord link to Pluralsight's Discord, and in there we have folks that are just talking about certifications, talking about their journey, asking questions, getting answers. We have a bunch of people who have these certifications in here in that Discord, helping answer questions, helping people get moved along to their path. So it's really cool. I'm also in the Discord all the time, so you can send me questions, critiques, anything you want. But yeah, this Cloud Happy thing is one of the coolest things I've seen Pluralsight do since I joined them, because it's just a really cool way for folks to get that first certification and take off into the industry. So have to throw that out, and the link is in the chat. So with this thing, it still needs a little bit of work. However, just to recap, we took our class library, put it into the Blazor app. We have unit tests on this class library. I'm going to add some more unit tests. I'm going to add some more just kind of general refactoring, because some of this stuff I don't really like how it's set up. But I'm looking for the next new idea. So I'll open this again. So far, our handy dandy little tools app gets your IP address, shows it there. This is mine. Please don't hack me. Takes that IP address, looks it up in a database, finds out what town it's likely in. Hillsboro, Oregon, which is fairly close to where I'm at. I'm actually down here in Laurelwood, out in the middle of the country, but it's pretty close. And it looks that up, and it displays this on a Google map. And then this takes an airport code and displays the weather. So we're probably going to take this and make it come automatically from that IP to town thing. So it's going to find out your town and then find out your closest airports. Ryan's asking, where's the link for free training? I will send it again. Interesting. It doesn't send. Oh, Zulu time is like Greenwich Mean Time. It's universal time in Greenwich. And so that's what all of the... Here we go. Ryan, here's the link on LinkedIn. I just realized that I can't send that to LinkedIn chat. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn also if you have any questions, but But yeah, I'm at Zulu time is like Greenwich Mean Time, so it's so all of these are set to Zulu time. And I just noticed that I don't see the actual Zulu time under time. So yeah, UTC also is another word for it. But yeah, and this is the link for those of you who didn't get it in chat. Don't show an IP address. Yeah, I know. I've been doing it. It's fine. I've got a pretty good security setup on my machine, so I'm not terribly worried about it. But I probably should refresh it every once in a while. And the Discord link is right next to me, but I'll put it here. Is discord.gg/pluralsight. There we go. Put that in. Our Discord is awesome, and it's full of people, full of really smart people, really fun people, and it's just a good time. So I definitely suggest everybody join Discord with that invite that I just sent out, and come join us. Come chat and hang out and have fun. I'd like to thank everybody for coming to my stream today. I wish I could have dazzled with a little more cool feature additions, but so far we're just kind of tying things up. Next up, I'm going to try to find some kind of API to find the nearest airports for cities and kind of tie it in automatically so that maybe we can show the closest 2 or 3 airports and then grab that weather data, make something cool with it. And like I said, I'm asking for any suggestions. I'll take any suggestions of things that we should add to this little portal app. What it kind of reminds me of is how search engines used to be before Google kind of took it all over. Like if you go to Bing, it's still kind of that way, where it's kind of a little like a portal. It has a list of news, it has weather, things like that. That's kind of what I want to build, is just kind of a little profile portal page with some cool stuff on it. So it's going to show the IP. It's going to show traffic is probably a good one. I can see that Bing shows traffic in Hillsboro because it has determined that I'm in Hillsboro, and then it's calling TomTom and saying, what's the traffic like? That's kind of cool. Of course, we have ads here. We're not going to put ads in our portal, but we're going to build something similar to this. So I'm looking for any kind of ideas. That'll be awesome. But thank you all for joining me. Hopefully I'll see you in the Discord, and I'll see you next week. I'll be here next week at the same time. David Neal will be here at 11 o'clock on Thursdays. He's building some really cool stuff. Maybe at some point we're going to get together on a stream and build some stuff, hopefully. But I just want to thank everybody for being here. This is a lot of fun. I love streaming, love meeting new people. And so we're going to keep doing this. We might even do it a little bit more in the coming weeks to months. We might be doing more streams. So have a good week, everybody. Thank you, Surly Dev. And we will talk soon.